Okay, this is the week 6 level 2 guitar video, this song is called Boulevard of Broken Dreams. This is the song we're going to be studying, and it's in the key of E minor, but something you'll notice is as you play along the song with the original recording, if you go and find that video, they're actually tuned up a half step, it's called, so everything instead of being in, say, E minor is actually up in F minor, which is a little hard to physically play. And I think listening to the sound of the recording, the band is actually using a guitar capo. So it's a good idea if you can get one of these. Now I'll just show you how to put it on. This method is the method I always use for all my various different types of capos. I've got quite a few different types. The mechanisms mechanically are all very different, but I still use the same technique. So this technique really works on all of my capos, which should be all of yours too. And that is, you place the capo on the fret that you want it and put it just near the fret wire itself, so not on top of it and definitely not too far back, but where you would put your finger. And then I put pressure on the strings evenly with my right hand, or my plucking hand if you like, and then I tighten the spring in the back, or I release the clamp if it's one of those cheaper pressure clamp ones. This helps keep the tension on each of the strings even, and if you tighten from the back only, especially with those clamp models, they actually stretch the strings out of tune because it comes down on an angle like this rather than coming flat on the string, pushing the string down. So have a play through the open strings, make sure that I'm getting a buzz, I think it's this. Yeah, there it is, gone. Make sure it's all a clear sound, your capo's down nice and tight. Don't over tighten it, just needs to be enough. You should be able to feel the tension and get used to it. Okay, so you have to start learning these chords, alright? Now there's specific ways of doing the chords, and I'm going to teach you how they go first. And we'll just do 2 chords at a time, and we'll go through the group. The ones on the right here, chord C and chord B, we're actually not going to really do today, because they're for the chorus of the song, and we need to know those in a couple of weeks. Let's work on these first 4 chords, which is plenty enough to work on. Okay, the first chord is the key name, E minor, and there's a couple of ways of doing E minor. You can do it with fingers 2 and 3 like I'm doing now, or you can do it with fingers 1 and 2. I use 2 and 3 a lot, but for this song it's better to do 1 and 2 because the following chord is G, where I need to keep this finger where it is and then move these other fingers here. So it's better to do with 1 and 2 rather than say doing 2 and 3 and then having to switch anyway. That's actually a lot more coordination involved to learn that, because the grouping of the fingers grouped, they're grouped like that, and then you switch the grouping to that. So that's actually challenging. It's a bit like finger games. So don't do it that way. Do it with 1 and 2 for this one. So I put my first finger on the 5th string, so that's string number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's at the 2nd fret. So you should get this note. Remember to have your thumb not too high, and hold that string down close to the fret wire, but a little bit further back in this case, because we need to squeeze the other finger in as well. Just enough space for that other finger to fit in just behind the wire. So that's on string 4, using finger 2, and the same fret. Because in the same fret, I'm going to pivot my wrist out a little bit so I can approach the dead-on angle of the fret wire. And should be able to squeeze those fingertips together, so when I'm playing it, I can feel my fingertips actually together. Not the fingers together, but the fingertips. And then squeeze that down to the thumb. Make sure you got a right angle so your fingers are kind of standing up. And then the string underneath that, the G, the open G, should ring out. So you should be able to strum through all 6 strings and get that all the notes ringing. So it's a good idea to practice this. Play through each string, make sure it's nice and clear sounding. Okay. Now when you strum, you can use a plectrum, or you can strum with the back of your fingers, like I do. And the first part of the song actually starts with an E minor chord as a down strum, and then it goes to strumming the pattern. It's a really cool song. that's the E minor chord, and now what we've got that E minor chord, we need to switch to G. Now you may have learnt G before as this easy version. You may have already learnt it as the full version. This is colloquially in guitar world called the folk G. With this open B second string, it kind of has a gentler sound, more soft sounding, more emotional perhaps. But the version we need for this song, because it's kind of a half rock song, half pop song, so they don't use too much colour in the sound. The colour tends to come from the timbre of the instruments rather than the harmony. So for this, they use actually the country G, which is to put these two fingers together. So you get a D on that second string. So I'll teach you one note at a time as well, don't worry. But it gives it more of a strident, more bright, more forceful kind of sound. So that's called country G. If you know the Eagles song, Taking It Easy, that starts with that song. I'm running down the road trying to loosen my load. I got 7 women on my mind. That's a bit high for me, sorry. So that's a country G chord. Let's have a look how to play it. First finger on string 5, 2nd fret, just like the E minor was. But actually, when I'm playing him, I actually move up a little bit, so I actually do bring that up to the fret. And then second finger now comes from that string, comes onto the 6th string on the 3rd fret. So we have the 2nd fret and the 3rd fret for those two. See if you've got those notes ringing clear. And then we've got a bunch of open notes following this map. So there's 1 and 2 finger, then the open notes, and then we have the country bright sound with 3 and 4 on the top. So it's all in the same fret, these 3 fingers, finger 2, finger 3, finger 4, all in the 3rd fret. So this is on the 2nd string, this is on the 1st string, so their fingertips will feel like they're together. And so we should be able to get a clear sound, maybe have a pluck through those. Make sure your open string is clear as well, you're not getting a from the laziness of that finger. Make sure it sits up at a right angle so that the string under can ring. Really like country G. It's a great, bright, happy sounding chord. Okay, so we've got 2 chords. So really the mission this week is to just change between those 2 chords. Let's do 2 strums each. And just go back and forth. Now you're probably doing it this fast. It's okay. That's perfectly fine. Change the next chord. You see how slow I'm going? That's perfectly fine if you start like that, because what you really want to start doing is putting the accuracy in at the beginning, where you're putting the finger in exactly the right spot. So spend some time doing that, and then try the 2 different chords. Make sure you spend an even amount of time on each. And then try and work on changing, and this will be really slow, and that's okay. Just changing back and forth, and play them so you can hear them. So you'll sound different to me, so I'm not going to demonstrate the sound of that. But now what we're doing now is we're actually working on where exactly we need to move our fingers to, and so we get used to changing back and forth between those 2. There's another song that has this chord sequence at the start. It's by Nirvana, and it's called About a Girl. I won't sing that one, it's actually very hard to sing. But that's another song, you can look it up and you can try and play along. And actually it's a bit quicker than that, but the acoustic live version is slower, so you can try and play along with that. That'll get your fingers moving for those 2 chords, okay? Great, so that's really what we'll be working on for this week, is just those 2 chords. There's a lot in it, there's a lot of finger movement. So what we want to work on is your accuracy first, and then we'll work on speed over time. And then as we get better, we'll work on speed alone, and then we'll fine tune our accuracy for changing between the chords. Now I'll just demonstrate the other chords that are in the song. So we have D major, and it says here the XX. That means I don't play these 2 low strings. So string 6 and string 5 are not strummed in the right hand. So we'll have to practice that missing the bass strings. Now our fingers are like this. first finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the 1st string, so you're jumping over the 2nd string there, to that note, and then the 3rd finger out in front on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. So you'll find this one's a little tricky because these 2 fingers will probably want to be up there, but this 1st finger has to come back a little bit, and then you're also extending that 3rd finger up, and you're reaching over as a right angle. So it's got to extend over to the 2nd string, and it's got to be at a right angle so you can hear the 1st string ringing. So when you've got the chord on, go through all the notes individually and check them, but make sure you really do check the 1st string. Make sure you're not getting this. You have to stand your fingers up. So you hear that lovely F sharp on top. That note's called F sharp. See how I'm strumming the chord there? I'm just going up and down. That's not how the song goes, I'm just demonstrating. So when I'm playing the chord, I try not to strum these 2 strings. Occasionally, you can kind of hear it, I'm actually hitting the next string. It doesn't make a bad sound, but if I hit the 6th string it will. Sounds awful, yeah? So just the 4 strings. Lots of songs have these chords in them, so once you start learning these chords from the basic chord library, you'll start to learn heaps of songs. Alright, that's the D chord. Now the A chord. There's a couple ways of doing it, and you can see I've got an alternative finger set down here to use. This is actually the finger set I'll teach today, but the standard way of playing the A chord is 1, 2, 3 fingers across there like that. We're going to learn it this way because it plays into playing E minor nice and easy like that. And some of my students have large working hands, and so they struggle to get their fingers in the right spot, especially with a steel string guitar they might have. It's hard to get your fingers in. So we're going to learn this way of playing A for now. 2nd finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret. That's the same note that's in the E minor chord, actually. Now the 3rd finger is tucked underneath that one on the 3rd string, so they're both in the same fret. And now your pinky finger on the 2nd string in the 2nd fret. So they should all have clear sound there and no buzzing. So if you get this one too far back, because you're squishing everything in, and if you're not pivoting enough, you're doing that, you bring your elbow in, that finger will start to touch there, and then you've got a buzz sound like that. So you want to pivot your wrist around, make sure you can get all those up against that fret wire, and we're going to have the open A. Sorry, that's from my capo's not holding the A down enough. And the E note on top. And try not to strum the 6th string. I just did that if you heard that. Now, another way of doing this, if you're struggling, I would not recommend you learn it this way at the moment. But if you're really struggling to get that, and yet maybe your hands feel too big for your guitar, because some guitars have more narrow, like the steel string guitars have more narrow fretboards, so it can be hard to get these chord fingers in. What you can do in that specific situation for those certain people is you can play a 1st finger flat across those strings for those notes. But you'll notice we've got that extra color note there of the F sharp. My 1st finger's touching this note. So you can't play that in the thing, otherwise it sounds like the final chord in the song Heartbeat, which is an A6, a beautiful chord, but it's the wrong song. So what we need to do is just lift up the pressure a little bit so you get a tut tut, a blocked sound. That'll sound fine when you're strumming like this. So make sure you don't have that F sharp in there. We just want to have just those 2nd fret notes, 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string. It's actually physically a harder thing to do, but if you can't reach the other ones, that's your alternative. Okay. Alright, so the other chords are C and B. We'll learn those in a few weeks, so I won't go too far. There's plenty there, and so we really want to learn 2 chords at a time. And just practice moving between them and go backwards. And then try the D chord. So maybe go G to the D. See how my 3rd finger stays there? That's kind of handy. So the 3rd finger stayed. Just going back and forth. Now try the D to the A. This will be a little trickier because you've got different bunched groups. now go from the A to the E minor. This will be easy because it's that. Then I just put that on, bring this up a little bit. Making sure I'm strumming the right strings as well. So here's the order of the chords. 2 strums per chord. E minor, G, D, A. E minor, G, D, A. So I'll demonstrate. 3, 4. Happy practicing, and remember you can only get these chords down if you spend a lot of time practicing it. It'll take you about 4 weeks as an estimate. Could be less, but you've got to put the time in every day practicing the chords, every single day. It's not easy, but it really is fun. It's worth doing. Okay, good luck.